ready? Are we rolling? And action.
We're rolling. Good afternoon. My name is Ed Montana, and I will be the host today of the Positive Sports Podcast. Hosting with me today, my director in charge.
That's right.
My not paying attention to the podcast brother, my brother Alex.
I'm paying attention. I hope everybody that's tuning in is paying attention. How about that?
It didn't look
How
like
about that?
It didn't look like you were paying attention. I told you we were ready to go.
Well, I thought you were playing around.
I'm not playing around.
Let's pay some dues. Brought to you by the Positive Sports Podcast. Make sure you check us out on all platforms. I'm not going through them. They should already know.
If they don't know by now,
then you guys just need better ears.
they should know.
They should know.
Anyway.
They should know. So,
how you been?
I've been great. So, I'm going to go over a couple headlines.
You're not into this podcast today, are you?
What do you want to talk about? Did you have something in mind?
No, I'm asking you how you're doing, and you're like, great.
They don't want to know how I'm doing. They want to listen to us talk about bullshit and sports.
Which one are you picking first, bullshit or sports?
It doesn't matter.
Let's
see. What do you think about LeBron this week in the news? About dancing and doing cartwheels and dunking pregame of his son's AAU game.
I don't really much care about LeBron James unless it's basketball. Well, I take it back. I do care about the I Promise School. I think that's a really cool thing that he does or that he's done.
I didn't ask you about that. I asked you what you thought about him being in the news dancing.
Yeah, I don't. Because I don't pay attention to stupid peripheral sports stories.
Are you that parent that goes onto the court or the baseball field?
I don't pay attention to stupid peripheral, have nothing to do with sports, but we call them sports stories.
Well, it's not a sports stories. I think it's just relating to, you're a parent that has a child. Then
put it on Good Morning America, but don't put it on ESPN.
Oh, then nobody would watch Good Morning America.
Right, like, don't you think it's silly sometimes you watch ESPN and you get a story that's got really nothing to do with sports?
Yeah, but
like
it's
that
LeBron
thing, that has nothing to do with sports. There's parents that do stupid shit all the time.
But it's LeBron, that's why. I mean... that's why.
No, I know why, but to me, it's just it's not a story.
And not to mention, he does look like a clown. I mean, kind of overshadowing his young kids' AAU basketball.
So help me out here, because I truly don't know, because I don't pay attention to stupid stuff like this. What did he do?
Well, I mean, he ran on the court after his son's team was on the other end of the court, and the kid dunked. And, he ran on the court, he lost his shoe, and then ran back on it. He slid on the floor, picked up the shoe, went back to the sideline, and he was doing, like, wah kicks in the air. I mean, he was putting on a show. And then he was doing, during the layup drill, he was dunking pregame, kind of how he does in the NBA. So...
Why was he in the layup drill? Was he playing?
I don't know.
See, I don't know. That kind of surprises me, because LeBron doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who... wants to be the center of attention.
You're kidding me, right?
Not like that.
You have to be kidding me.
Not like that. He wants to be the center of attention in terms of, you got to clear these acquisitions with me. You can't make a trade for a guy without talking to me. You can't hire a head coach without talking to me. That kind of center of attention. But that just random, Pac-Man Jones type of center of attention, he doesn't strike me that way. There are guys that want to be...
He strikes me that way.
My point is, there are guys that want to be the center of attention, like, no matter what, right? Like, they don't care if it's just a game or whatever. They want to be the center of attention. LeBron doesn't strike me that way. Like, you very rarely hear about anything with him in the offseason unless it has to specifically do with his team, in which case then, he'll make a comment about a coach getting hired or someone getting traded for whatever.
I think LeBron's always the center of attention, even during the off season.
He is, but I don't think he seeks it. Part of it is just the stature of who he is.
I think he seeks most of the attention that he gets. I think he seeks it.
But when was the last time you saw him get attention for something other than basketball? Right, like this is a weird one to me. You don't
Come on, you haven't heard of Taco Tuesday? LeBron loves Taco Tuesday. He posts a video every Tuesday screaming out, "It's Taco Tuesday," and puts on this fucking face that looks like he's taking a shit. He's an attention seeker, bro. Let's move on.
You obviously hate LeBron way more than I care because I just don't see. Man, maybe I'm just out of it. I don't know.
Maybe. What do you think about Le'Veon Bell apologizing to his fantasy football owners for last season for not playing fantasy football?
Didn't he get pissed off last year that the media was giving him a hard time and he said it was because of fantasy football? Wasn't it him that said that?
I don't remember, but I think he's paying attention to the wrong thing at this time of this. He's going to be a bust in New York.
Look,
he's going to be a bust.
Some guys truly love playing football. If you watched the Hall of Fame ceremony last night, which we'll get to later, those 8 guys, or 7 because one of them's dead, those guys love football. Le'Veon Bell loves life. I don't think
there's nothing wrong with that. Right?
No, there's nothing wrong with it. But I don't think, I think we as a society or sports fans, we get butthurt about, oh, he's just not that into the game, or he doesn't care about the game. He's not thinking about the right thing. We think he should care about the game as much as we care about the team that he's on, right? So as a Jet fan,
right,
it bothers us that he's not as vested in football as we are in seeing our Jets win, right? And I say we, and I'm not a big Jets fan. I'm a little Jets fan, right? But whatever. And I think Le'Veon Bell just could give 2 shits about football.
Yeah.
He's living in his opinion, he's living a good life. He's made a lot of money. He's comfortable. He doesn't care about all that other stuff.
I mean, look, as a fantasy football player as myself, I appreciate that apology from him. I really do.
Did you pick him last year?
No. I did not pick him.
You never
I was not
put him at the end of your bench just in case he came back?
No, never did.
Because I know that was a popular strategy for people.
Yeah, he didn't play at all last year, right?
No, not at all.
Yeah, some people, people picked him up, and like in the league that I was in, they picked him up pretty early actually. But I appreciate his apology. That's mighty nice of him. All right, real quick, one more NFL. What'd you think about the top 10 players of the NFL? Voted by the players. Do you know who they are?
No.
Aaron Donald, Drew Brees, Khalil Mack, Patrick Mahomes, Todd Gurley, Tom Brady,
hold on.
Antonio Brown, Aaron Rodgers, Julio Jones, Von Miller to round out the top 10.
Let me see that list.
In that order.
In this order.
Yeah.
Donald, Brees, Mack, Mahomes, Gurley, Brady.
Now this is voted by the players.
By the players.
By the players. By the players for the players.
Right.
NFL's family. I mean, these really don't mean nothing to me. I'm sure they don't to most. I mean, it's just, it's a popularity contest, right?
But that doesn't even look like a popularity contest to me. I can understand all of those guys that are there. I can understand the order. I can understand moving the order around. The thing that's hard to do with that as compared to, say, baseball is football is much more of a team sport. It is much more of a tactical game, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I think coaches and schemes play a much greater role in a game of football than they do in a game of baseball, right?
Right.
So I don't disagree with anyone on that list. I can't off the top of my head think of someone that's not on that list that should be. I'm okay with it. The order, I mean, I would move stuff around, obviously.
I don't see how the hell someone puts Gurley over Brady.
Right.
I mean, that is...
Well, if you stop and think about it, how do you put anyone over Brady?
Right, yeah, no, that's
right?
fine. I'm just going off this list though.
Here's the other thing when you see a list like that. Are we talking about accomplishments today, or are we talking about building a team starting today? Because if we're talking about accomplishments as of today, then you take Brady, number one, right? But if we're talking about building a team for the future, then you take Mahomes, number one, right?
I don't think this list has anything to do with either of those. I think it's just the players voting who they feel is the top player right now in football.
Right, but my point is, I think that skews the voting, right? I think some guys, when you look at this list and some of these guys put quarterbacks on there,
Mm-hmm.
you can't put Mahomes in the same category as Brady in terms of accomplishment. But then again, you can't really put Brady in the same category as Mahomes if you're talking about building a team starting today. And here's the other thing. How much credit do you give the scheme, right? Because if you're looking at pure football athlete, well, Mahomes is a better athlete than Brady, but Brady is a better technician than Mahomes. So there's so many different ways to slice it. That's why I find them great for debate and conjecture and conversation. But at the end of the day, they don't kind of... Like, no one on that list surprises me.
Yeah, I mean, like, I just wouldn't put Gurley over Brady, but I mean...
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
fine.
well...
I mean, that's probably, like, the only one,
right,
maybe.
you could make
or,
that
or
argument.
over Bree, or Antonio Brown over Rodgers. Like, I wouldn't do that.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, in the NFL, when you're ranking top 10, top 100 overall players, your list should probably, the first 5 should probably be quarterbacks, just because it's the most important position in the game. It's the most valued position, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if
you know, and the other thing is, the way football is today, you almost can't put a running back in there. I mean, we've seen running backs go down and next man up, no problem.
Yeah.
Right? Look at the Steelers last year. They lost Le'Veon Bell and really didn't make much of a difference to him.
Yeah.
And Le'Veon Bell's, probably a top 5 running back going into last year. I mean, that list may be different now.
Right. Yeah.
So, I can't say I'm surprised. I am surprised that they put a defensive player at number 1.
Yeah.
As offensive-minded as the NFL is.
Right. But
now,
remember, this is players voting. So, it's maybe Aaron Donald just has the most friends in the NFL. I mean, I would want to be his friend. That guy's huge.
That would explain why Aaron Rodgers is so far down the list.
It could be.
No one likes that guy.
It could be.
Right? And Breeze is so high. I mean, everybody loves Drew Brees.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Drew Brees, and I ain't got nothing to do with New Orleans.
Mm.
Hey, did you happen to catch the fight between Pittsburgh and Cincinnati?
Yeah, that was
that was unbelievable.
Great. That was great.
Let me tell you something. Amir Garrett is my favorite player in baseball right now. Actually, he's my favorite baseball player. Because how many times do you see a pitcher throw at a batter and the batter runs out to the mound to fight, and of course the pitcher's got, he's got 8 guys on the field with him. Not Amir Garrett. Amir Garrett said, "You 24 guys, I'm taking on you 24 guys." I thought that's a true fight. No hold me, because most of those fights in baseball are one of those big, hold me back fights, right? Not Amir Garrett. Amir Garrett was pissed. Amir Garrett wanted to fight, and Amir Garrett went to fight.
I think Amir Garrett knew what he was going to do before he did it. I don't think he just reacted like that. I think he had it set in his mind that he was gonna go over, because it sounds like the Reds bench was chirping at him.
Oh, the Pirates bench was chirping
right,
bad.
The Pirates.
Look, certainly by the time he got there, he knew what he was doing. I don't think he went out to the mound in that inning thinking, if they chirp at me, I'm going to go over there and beat the shit out of somebody. But, it got to a point where he just blew a gasket. And quite frankly, it was impressive to me that he was willing to go over there and fight. I thought that was... Because these baseball players all have this fake bravado.
Yasiel Puig.
Right.
Did you notice him in that one?
Now, he's a perfect example.
Yeah.
How many times was he willing to go back into the fight when a guy's standing right there holding him back?
He went towards that pirate, and nobody was in between both of them. And
nothing happened.
He went over there and kind of stuck his chest out a little bit and didn't do anything.
Exactly.
And he's all talk, no action.
Exactly.
And Garrett is complete opposite
Exactly,
of that.
which is why I have the utmost respect for Garrett.
So
look, these fights in baseball, I've said this before, there is a very, very easy way to stop the fights in baseball. Just implement the same rule the NBA uses. if you come onto the field, you're automatically ejected and suspended. Because then what happens, right? The pitcher throws at the batter. The batter doesn't like it. What's the batter going to do? Go out there and fight the pitcher by himself? Because if anyone else comes on the field, they're going to get ejected and suspended. So that's going to stop the batter rushing the mound. And if the pitcher, knows that, it's amazing how much more professional things will become if the pitcher plunks the batter and the batter has no choice but to put the bat down and go to first base. And you give the umpires you tell the umpires straight up, no warnings. Mm-hmm. If you, as the umpire, deem it as an on-purpose pitch, you throw them out. And that's the end of it. That would stop all of this stuff. It would stop all of the, oh, he flipped his bat, so I'm going to hit him next time. It's going to stop, oh, he looked at it too long, and so I'm going to hit him next. It would stop all that shit. It would stop the crap that happens with the... How many times do you see an umpire warn a pitcher, and then the other manager gets thrown out? Because now he's like, wait a minute, I can't police... He just tried to police the game by hitting my guy, and now you're going to warn me, and I can't do the same thing. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
So you stop with the warnings, and you stop automatic suspensions for guys that come out on the field. I bet you that stops it right in it. You don't have to let the kids play commercials. you don't have to do any of that stuff. Just change the rule like that.
Can't change the rule.
Look at you. You're dumbfounded. You hadn't thought of that. You're like, God damn, that's a great idea.
No, I don't actually. I think you should have fights in baseball. So if you had to pick a pitcher to be on your team for a brawl, who do you pick? Nolan Ryan or Amir Garrett?
Ooh, I pick Amir Garrett.
I don't know, man. Nolan Ryan put someone in a headlock. He put Robin
Ventura. Yeah, but he was only willing to fight one guy when he had... And look, Robin Ventura is an example of that guy that goes out there because he knows everyone else is going to come out there and people are going to hold him back. The only problem is he didn't realize Nolan Ryan was going to get him in a headlock and fuck him up. Right? But Robin Ventura, if my rule were in place, Robin Ventura would have never went out there.
And he would have never gotten bloodied up.
He would have never gotten bloodied up. He would have never became famous for getting his ass kicked by a 50-year-old man.
Damn. Yeah, I mean...
And yes, I take Amir Garrett over Nolan.
Yeah,
Ryan.
I mean, Garrett really... They were talking about trading him, too. He was one of the players being named during the deadline as to being traded. I'm pretty sure the Reds are glad they didn't trade him.
I wonder if the trade for Puig to the Indians went through before the fight or after the fight. Because if it went through before the fight, shouldn't the Indians ask for a little compensation for the 3 games he got suspended?
Yeah, I don't know. I think he got traded before the fight.
That was one of the...
but he didn't know.
Yeah. That was one of the better fights I've seen. And that was a true fight. A true fight.
But those two, it's been brewing since early in the season.
It's been brewing since last year.
Yeah, but I think this season one broke out early.
Yeah, this is the second time.
Yeah. So, I mean,
and
it was bound to happen.
They're in the same division, so they're going to play another 10 times.
Yeah.
it's just a... And you know what's funny about this, too? There's something funny going on with Clint Hurdle. Because the Royals got in a bunch of scraps when he was their manager. Now, when he was with the Rockies, I think they got in a bunch of scraps as well. And now he's with the Pirates, and they're getting into a bunch of scraps. So he's doing something to make his team more scrappy-like. Huh? Just my opinion. I don't know this for sure, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, could be. Well.
So the trade deadline came and went on Wednesday, and we didn't hear a peep out of Major League Baseball. Would you agree?
As far as... What do you mean? As far as...
No, nothing happened.
No, I expected more. Especially, like, leading up towards the actual deadline, right? The 4 o'clock deadline, but not much. I mean, the Astros made the big splash, I guess you can say, right a couple minutes right before the deadline. But other than that, I think there was more talk of the... there was probably more talk about the teams that didn't make moves before the deadline.
Well,
so.
because the teams that didn't make moves are the teams that dominate the national headline. Right?
Yeah.
That's why it feels like there were no big moves because, I mean, let's just say it. The Yankees and the Red Sox didn't make a move. And they dominate the national headlines. But I think the most impactful move, without a doubt, is the Astros. The Astros already had 3 starters in the top 15 in the American League. They now have 4 starters in the top 15. A 4-man rotation like that, man, that pretty much cinches up the playoffs. You don't need a 5th starter. They're good offensively. They're already leading their division by several games. They're a team that said, we want to win now. We want to win the 2019 World Series and made a big move to do it. If that had been the Yankees, we would have talked about the trade deadline for a month. But because it was the Astros, we're not going to talk about it nearly as much. Instead, we're going to talk about the Yankees and the Red Sox not making moves. And look, in my opinion, the Astros won the American League on Wednesday.
Didn't the Astros trade for Verlander at the deadline in 2016?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's a hell of a deal for the Astros. I mean, yeah, they gave up prospects and whatnot.
But sometimes these teams that make these big splashes at the deadline, sometimes they don't win it all.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, you still got to play the games, right?
Right, yeah, of course. Injuries can happen.
Luck. You can't rule out.
But I mean, remember when the Dodgers made the splash for Manny Ramirez, right? Everybody thought, oh man. I mean, he did kind of play really well with the Dodgers, but they didn't win it all.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a bunch like that.
Yeah, no, and even the Astros years ago, they made the move for Randy Johnson, and it ended up not working out.
Yeah.
But this is different. I mean, this is a team that is, was already a very serious World Series contender. They're getting healthy. They already have probably the best record in the American League, or pretty close to it. And now they've added another number 1 arm. And they didn't just add a pitcher. They added a 1.
Yeah.
Man, I firmly believe the Astros... Look, the Astros could have won the American League without Greinke. But to me, they really solidified their chances of winning the American League on Wednesday. I think they're going to win the American League. And I don't think people should begrudge the Yankees or the Red Sox for not making a move, because look, this Red Sox team that did not make a move won the World Series last year, so they're obviously good enough.
Not this year. They're not good enough.
They're not, but this is the same. This is the same team they had last year.
Right,
it's the same roster.
Yeah, but this
that roster that they're putting out on the field right now won the 2018 World Series.
Right,
they're good enough to win the World Series.
Not this year.
It's the same team.
No, I understand, but this year they're not good enough to win the World Series.
If they make it to the playoffs, they are good enough.
They're not.
They're the same team as last year.
No, I understand that, but they're obviously not the same team because their record says that they're not.
Look, yes, they played better last year, but they have that in them, is my point. All they have to do is make the playoffs.
They're not good enough this year. Even if they do make the playoffs, they're not good enough.
They're not good enough because they've gotten worse.
Obviously they're not good enough. They're
It's
about to get swept from the Yankees again, and
it's the same team.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that
Alex
this year they're good
Cora
enough.
was the best manager ever last year. Is he not a good manager anymore?
He might be a good manager, but the players, the pitching staff is not as good.
It's the same pitching staff.
It's
the same team.
But they're not good enough this year. They were good enough last year.
Again,
but this year I don't think so.
I think that if they make the playoffs, which looks dicey, they could win it all. They're that good. They were that good last year. They can be that good this year. Now, will they turn it around? That I don't know.
I think it's...
You never know.
I don't think they will. They just... they're about to get swept again. 4 games from the Yankees. They were close.
The Yankees have been just killing them.
they were close as of they weren't close, but I mean they were what 7 games, maybe 8 games. They're at the beginning of the week, and now they're back to
10?
double digits. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
And the Yankees are sporting the second best record in the American League by a game or by half a game, I think. Actually, hold on. Yeah, they're a half a game behind the Astros, and the Astros have played today, so they theoretically could be tied by the end of the day. So. Yeah, the Yankees didn't make a move, but it's not like the Yankees are a bunch of slouches, and they've done all of this while battling numerous injuries. So, say what you want about those teams not making
and
moves.
not having good pitching.
Yeah, say what you want about those teams not making moves. I think as presently constructed, they could win it all.
Not with no pitching, the Yankees won't win it all. And now they got another injury to Aaron Hicks. Aaron Judge he looks like he might be injured again, and they don't.
Encarnacion got hurt.
All the Yankees need is a rotation that can give them 6 strong innings and then turn it over to their bullpen, because I think the back end of their bullpen is really strong. But I think that's going to be an issue for them, heading into the playoffs when they face
the Astros.
Yeah, or even the Indians, a good offensive team, or the Twins.
The Twins maybe out, and the Indians. I don't see much trouble from the Indians.
Well, offensively, the Indians can score runs. I'm talking teams that can score runs like the Astros, the Twins.
But the Indians, right? But here's the problem, and this is why the Yankees are sporting the second best record in the American League. You can't just score runs. You got to score a lot of runs with the Yankees, because the Yankees are gonna put up 7 or 8. So, yeah, you can put up some runs, but if you're just a little bit above average, it's hard to keep pace with the Yankees, because the Yankees are hitting lights out.
Right, no, I understand that, but when you look at teams like the Astros, Cleveland, I would rank Cleveland above Minnesota. They're pitching. Pitching will shut down good hitting any day of the week, especially in the playoffs. So while the Yankees do have a great offense or a good offense, and another thing, this Yankees team doesn't have a lot of playoff experience at all. These are all players that are young, that just got called up. So, the Yankees are doing great, handling their own division, but come playoff time, it's just a different story. It's a little different. So
yeah, I would not. Personally, I would not poo-poo the Yankees come playoff time, because I think, look, pressure works both ways, right? Sometimes when you're facing a dominant pitcher, you put pressure on yourself as an offense to score, and it makes it worse. And sometimes it works the other way. When when you're facing a good offense, you put pressure on yourself to keep up with them offensively, and you hit even worse. And same thing from the pitching side of it, is like, holy crap, this offense, there's no breather here. There's no rest at 7, 8, and 9. They all hit. It's a problem. And sometimes it makes it harder for the pitcher. So, again, the Yankees haven't gotten to this point of the season with the second best record in baseball for nothing. So say what you want about not great starting pitching, say what you want about injuries, but man, they are beating people to a pulp. They went to Minnesota and beat the brakes off the Twins. And they did it exactly the way I'm saying. 13-11. They said, you can score runs? Okay, go ahead. You score runs. And we can't pitch. Go ahead. You score all the runs you want. We're going to go ahead and score 2 more.
Yeah.
And that's the way they've done it. It'll be very interesting to see a matchup with them and the Astros. Right now, I think they're headed on a collision course that no one's going to derail. And it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out at that point. What do you think about Cleveland trading Bauer?
I guess it
for
was
Puig.
I guess it was bound to happen. I mean, I think Puig is a needed bat that they needed, and a good outfield arm too. So, Indians haven't gotten much production from their outfielders all season. So he should cut that. He should fit in pretty well, I think. And I think it's a move that needed to happen. And Kluber's been out. I don't think they make that move if Kluber's not coming back healthy, so he should be coming back pretty soon.
He pitched in a simulated game yesterday or day before yesterday.
Right.
So
and so Bauer
close.
I think it was just bound to happen. I think the fit there with him and Francona, aside from what happened with the Royals last Sunday, him throwing the ball away to center field, aside from that, I just think it was, it was writing on the wall that was, going to happen sooner or later. So
I agree.
I mean, you addition by subtraction, you already have Bieber.
Justin?
No, not Justin. What the hell was his name? James Bieber?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
But
now.
every time I see him on the box score Bieber, I think Justin, and I know that's not it.
They got Kluber.
Which he must hate that. But.
They got Carrasco. So they have a Clevenger. They have a decent starting rotation to.
Yeah, look, I
think, and their offense has kind of come alive lately too. So
I think that I'm not a big fan of Puig, but I think in the case of the Indians, they did make their team better. The deficit or the lack of hitting from them from their outfielders needed a boost, and I think losing that one arm, albeit valuable for sure, you got to give something to get something, and I think you addressed a bigger need than what you gave up in pitching. So, it's a tough call, I think, for the Indians. I'm surprised that they did it, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I think you had to do it. You had to do something, and they're catching up to the Twins, but they still have 3 games to go, and it looks like whoever does not win that division is going to make the playoffs, but it's better to win the division than to go into a one-gamer.
How many games back? They're 3 games back. So
they're 3 games back in the Central, and I think they're actually 3 games ahead in the wild card.
Yeah.
So, and then they would have to play either Tampa Bay, Boston, or Oakland, I think.
All right. So, and then what about in the National League? What team do you think that stood pat that didn't make a move? That probably should have, because there's a bunch.
Yeah, I think. Did the Nationals make a move?
They did. They picked up a 2 relievers, I believe.
That's a good move.
I can't remember who they were.
That's a good move for them because their bullpen is struggling or was struggling. The Braves, did the Braves do anything?
I
don't think they did. And I think they should, because although I think they're going to win the division, for a team like the Braves, at this point, when you're up 6 or 7 games in your division, you got to start thinking about the playoffs. And they got to bolster up if they're going to match up with the Dodgers or the Cubs. The Cubs made a really good move in bringing over Castellanos from Detroit, which you and I talked about last week. So that guy leaves Detroit, which is a terrible hitter's park, to Wrigley, which is a great hitter's park. I expect good things from him. And I think that may be the boost that the Cubs needed to win that division. Did they sweep? I think they swept the Brewers this weekend.
They swept them, yeah.
So things are looking kind of bleak for the Brewers. But remember, last year the Brewers were not. I think they were about the same thing, 4 or 5 games back, and they got hot in late August, early September, and ran that right through the playoffs. So it can happen. No team, aside from the Dodgers, is so impervious to a streak that they couldn't fold.
Right.
Even the Braves at 6.5, 7 games up. If the Nationals or the Phillies got on a really good hot streak, they could end up losing that division.
Yeah, the Braves actually got 2 relievers also, Shane Green and Mark Mellon.
Green is a good pickup for them.
So
that's good. And they need that.
Yeah.
They need that because again, dealing with the Dodgers is not going to be easy.
Yeah, could be.
How about you? What do you think about the National League?
think there's a bunch of teams that could have made moves. I think the Phillies are definitely one of them. I mean, they're pretty close to the wild card. Why not make a move or two, get some pitching or something.
Yeah.
You got Jason Vargas, but I don't know how that's gonna work out. So, the Nationals addressed a need. So I guess we'll see where.
Well, and amazingly, we have not talked about the Mets. Now the Mets made 2 moves. One, they added Stroman from the Blue Jays, which I thought was a great move. But I thought that was only the beginning of a restructuring. I thought they were going to flip him. I thought they might flip Wheeler. I thought they might flip Syndergaard. They ended up standing pat.
Yeah.
And their pitching, their starting rotation looks great, right?
Best pitching staff since the All-Star break. Bullpen and rotation.
That's pretty much amazing because the bullpen is still kind of shaky.
Yeah, but since
the All-Star break, they've been good.
yeah.
But that starting rotation is good. It's really good. You got DeGrom, Syndergaard, now Stroman, then Wheeler, then Matz. That's a great starting rotation. If the bullpen can come around, now your pitching staff is set, and then all you have to deal with is the headache that is your hitting. Not headache, it's inconsistent. Right?
Yeah, that's basically what it boils down to.
Today they scored 13 runs. Tomorrow they may get shut out by, a first-year pitcher.
Yeah.
You just don't know with them. The schedule's helped them out a little bit, which is good. They're starting to creep themselves into the wild card conversation. They're still, I think, 10 games out in the East, but they're only 3.5 out in the wild card. And
the teams that are in front of them, though, are not really anyone to be scared of. You got the Diamondbacks, you got the Giants. The Brewers are starting to fall back a little bit. All of a sudden, they're 3 games out in the wild card. And Washington and Philly are,
and St. Louis.
And St. Louis. So
there's no dominant team in the wild card. It's not like in the American League where you've got a strong Indians team that's holding down one of the wild card spots and you're really only playing for one. In the National League, you don't really have anyone that's real dominant, and so you've got 2 spots. And some of those teams involved in the wild card in the National League are also fighting for their own division, right? Like St. Louis and Milwaukee. Right. They're not just focused on the wild card. So they're going to beat each other up some, along with Chicago. Chicago leads, obviously one of them will win the division, but then 2 of them will beat up on each other. So it's looking, the Mets may have, even though I thought for sure they were sellers, they look like they might be
buyers.
Well, it's over now, right? They're not buyers now. It's all done and dusted, but look like they may really come ahead in this whole thing.
Yeah, consistency is a key word with them, so we'll see how far they
Certainly
can go.
When it comes to their hitting, it's been a problem. It continues to be a problem. I don't know how they're going to address it in the off season. Obviously, Cano was not the answer, but c'est la vie.
What else went down in baseball this week?
In baseball, I can't think of anything else.
That's pretty much it.
That was pretty much it, right? A fight and a bunch of trades.
Yeah.
You gotta love it. By the time you get to August, that's when you start to see the fights. When people start to,
It gets hot out there, man.
It gets hot out there. People start to get pissed off easily. You know what it is? When you're in August, by the time you get to August, you got teams that are very obviously out of it.
Right.
But you still got a long way to go. I mean, you still got 45 games, 40, 50 games left. That's a long stretch. And so the patience goes down to just about nothing.
More managers get ejected.
Cora got ejected yesterday.
I think he was trying to imitate Aaron Boone. He kind of wanted to, go on that rant like Aaron Boone did.
Here's the stupid thing
about... copycatter.
Here's the stupid thing about the Cora thing. Did he not think he was going to get thrown out by going to a mound visit and waiting for the umpire to come over so he could say something? Because He said that the only reason he went out to the mound was to talk to the umpire. Why would you not just go out and yell at the umpire and get yourself thrown out that way? Right? Like, what did he think was going to happen? Because you're at a mound visit, you're not going to get tossed? You're going to get tossed anyway. I just thought it was disingenuous and silly. Like, he's just being petty. And that, to me, is a sign of a guy who is frustrated with his team beyond common sense.
Yeah, could be.
And for a guy who was, remember last season we talked about this, I mean, he was perfect during the playoffs. Every button he pushed worked. And this year, it's just not that way. Even though he's got the same team. And they're good enough. But somehow they're not.
Well, that's baseball for you, man.
Yeah.
162 freaking games.
It's a good life, man. What else you want to talk about?
I don't know, man. You tell me. I have no idea.
Dare I... Do I run the risk of making you irate by talking about the Hall of Fame?
Oh, no. I told you, man. I'm not going to get irate no more. That's it. I'm done.
So, they had the NFL Hall of Fame induction ceremony last night. I don't even know who all got in. I mean, I do, but I
2 or 3.
There's 8 of them, and I could name them if you gave me time, but it would take me a while because I always forget one or whatever. But you had Ed Reed, is probably the most notable name. Kevin Mawai,
Tony Gonzalez.
Well, that's probably the most notable name. Champ Bailey, Ty Law, Pat Bolin.
I couldn't tell you anyone else.
A guy named Johnson. I used to play for the Chiefs a long time ago.
Small?
Yeah, old.
Small Johnson?
I don't know if his first name is Small. I don't think it was, but I haven't seen all of the speeches, but I do kind of enjoy them when I do get to see them. Just to hear some of the stories that they tell from their time in the NFL, to hear what motivated them, what got them to that level, the important people in their lives, to hear them address some of the haters or their opponents. Mm-hmm. Ed Reed had a nice comment where he was thanking everybody, and he thanked the Bengals and the Browns because they had so many damn quarterbacks. He said, "It's not my fault y'all had all these damn quarterbacks."
He didn't thank Tom Brady?
No, he did not thank him. But it is really neat to see, just to hear the stories, man. And
it is, but I think they need to put a limit on the length of the speeches. I mean, some of them get way too long, and honestly, some of them, most people don't fucking care about. Like, I mean, nobody wants to hear, a guy from the 60s give a speech at this point. Seriously, I'm sorry. Nobody wants to hear it. I mean, say a couple thank yous and, move on. But some of those speeches are like way too long. I can't sit. I didn't watch any of it, but actually I haven't watched much of the past few NFL Hall of Fames and inductions, but they seem way too long.
Some of them are way too long.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, I agree with that. No one as charismatic as Ray Lewis. Like, Ray Lewis was out there like a preacher. He had the towel drying off the sweat while he was
He needed more like
yelling.
He needed a beach towel as much as
boy.
he was sweating last year.
Well, yeah, and he's a big boy.
Yeah.
He retirement life has treated him well. Tony Gonzalez was quite emotional. But it's to me, it's great to hear those guys and to hear the stories that they have to share with you. Like Kevin Mawai had one about Vinny Testaverde drawing up plays on his chest.
on whose chest?
On his own chest. Oh. Just all of a sudden in the huddle, you go this way, I'm going to hit you right here.
Wow, so you have to be thinking the opposite, right?
Yeah.
If you're looking at it?
I don't know how. I mean, it's been a while since I've drawn up a play. I usually drew it up in my hand, right?
You sure did.
But, I don't remember. But, yeah, just the stories are great. And hats off to those guys for everything they did and having a Hall of Fame career. It's impressive, man. It's a celebration of excellence throughout typically a long career. and it was a lot of fun to watch. And unlike baseball, I don't know why this is, but in football we don't talk about the snubs nearly as much as we do in baseball. In baseball, we get up in arms about why this guy didn't get in and that guy didn't get in, and whereas in football,
is it because maybe you need a certain percentage of the votes to get in?
Well, it's the same thing. The voting process is the same. You
need percentage.
75% of the votes.
Oh, in football?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same process. I mean, it's a different number of voters, right? Like baseball has 400 and football has 200, right?
I never knew that. I never heard him talk about this guy got 60% of the votes and didn't get in football.
Yeah.
Seriously,
that's the part I don't understand.
Wow.
I don't understand why we don't get up in arms about that. Anyway.
Fuck, I would like to know who got snubbed this year.
No, I don't want you to know.
Why?
Because
I'm really interested.
Get you mad now.
No, I'm not going to get mad. I'm really interested to know now. They seriously have percentages?
Yeah, it's a normal process. It's a voting process, just like everything else. What do you think? They just pull names out of a hat?
Yeah, I mean...
Speaking of a hat, did you see... I was bumping around Twitter today. Did you see the guy that caught the foul ball in the helmet of nachos?
No.
He had one of those big old helmets at the park in Arlington where we went a couple years ago.
Uh-huh.
They had those big helmets of nachos there. I was just there a few weeks ago. They got the big helmets, right? Like this big. And he didn't have a hat, and he didn't have a glove, and I guess he didn't want to use his bare hand. So he used the helmet. One problem.
What's that?
There was still a shit ton of nachos in there.
And what happened to the nachos? They all fell?
The thing exploded. The nachos fell on the guy in front of him, all over his back and stuff. And somehow the ball stayed in there, but the helmet was busted. The helmet was broken. You could see it broken. But
was he holding something else in his other hand?
No.
Okay. That's a bad move by the fan. You got to save the nachos, and you got to attempt to catch the ball with the other hand.
That's what I don't understand. Or, like, if I see the ball coming, I quickly tuck the nachos down underneath my seat and stand up, and I use two hands to catch it. Right? Because those fundamentals.
If you're as stingy as I am with money, I paid $15 for that helmet of nachos, $14 just for the helmet probably, right? I mean, I'm saving the nachos. I'm sorry. If not, I can do without the foul ball. Oh, foul ball. Yeah, foul ball. Yeah, I can do without that. I'm saving the nachos.
I just go out there and catch it barehanded because I can do these things.
Right, yeah. I save the nachos at all costs.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a no-brainer.
I caught a softball one time when I was on the phone.
At a Little League game?
At a high school game.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I was sitting there on the phone, all of a sudden the softball was coming to me.
Nice.
Caught it. Clinching the phone like this.
It was a foul ball?
Yeah.
Did you throw it back?
Well, you have to in high school.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
They'll come get you for a ball in high school.
So you didn't run to
the
car? You didn't run with the ball to your car?
I was on the phone. I was in the middle of a conversation. Catching the ball was just a courtesy.
Yeah. Yeah, save the nachos at all costs.
If I was the dude in front of him, I'd have been irate. Dropping a whole bunch of nachos and queso and jalapenos.
What would be the right compensation that you would tell the fan? Around the beers?
Yeah, you got... I mean, I don't know what inning this was in. And it was an older gentleman, too, in front of him. It was a guy probably in his late 50s.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of what point of the game it is, I think you got to buy him drinks for the rest of the game.
For the rest of the game?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, dude, you just dropped a whole bunch of nachos and queso and jalapenos, sour cream. I mean...
Oh, yeah, I would have been
think about what you get on nachos.
I would have been like, man, I'm allergic to spicy food, and you got jalapenos on my neck. I'm about to
break out.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta buy me. I mean, if you don't want to get beat up after the game in the parking lot, you're gonna have to, buy me something.
Yeah, he's got to hook me up the rest of the game, I think.
I agree.
You got anything else?
Nah, man, I'm out of shit to talk about.
Well, as always, folks, if you want to reach out to us, you can do so via email. Email the show at positivesports10@gmail.com. positivesports10@gmail.com. If you want to get a hold of this guy, how do they do that?
On Twitter at Brooklyn Gaucho 8.
8? What happened to 1?
Oh, am I on 1? Oh, shit, yeah.
What's that Brooklyn Gaucho 1?
Yeah, Brooklyn Gaucho 1. There you go.
You've gotten so many Brooklyn Gaucho
I do.
handles in jail. You can't figure out which one's out of jail.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was. I thought I was on 8 again. Damn it.
And if you want to get a hold of me on Twitter, you can do so at eMontana21. Looking forward to hearing your comments. As always, thank you very much for following the show. Drop us your comments, likes, etc., etc., etc.
Man, we're approaching. We're quite a few from 100 episodes.
Almost at 100.
Almost at 100. Damn.
We're going to do something big for 100.
That's a milestone.
It's a milestone. You got a shout out?
No, I can't think of one, man. I don't have a shout out.
Okay.
I don't have one.
I do. I have 2. This weekend in Madison, Wisconsin, 144 men and 131 women, the most fittest, some of the fittest athletes on the planet, got together for the CrossFIt Games. The men and the women went through 12 events, and Matt Frazier won for the 4th time in a row, and Tia Claire Toomey won for the 3rd time in a row. Very, very impressive. I watched a ton of it because it is mind-boggling what they do. Events ranging from running with 50-pound sacks to muscle-ups to being on an aerodyne for 30 minutes to, I mean, it's just all kinds of crazy events. Like I said, 12 events over the course of 4 days. Each event only takes about, it depends. I mean, some take as much as 40 minutes, but some are done in like less than 10. But the amount of strength and agility that these people show is just amazing. Absolutely amazing. There was one where they ran a mile lap, and they started off with 20 pounds, a vest with 20 pounds. They'd run 1 mile, put 10 more pounds in the vest, run another mile. And they ended up running 4 miles. And you want to know what their time was for 4 miles with what ended up being 50 pounds on their back? 25 minutes.
Damn.
So, I mean, they're running less than 7-minute miles. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Just incredible to watch. They had one today where they swam 1,000 meters, which is 5/8 of a mile. And then they got on a paddleboard and had to paddle 1,000 meters.
Jeez.
Which, after you swam 1,000 meters, you figure your arms and your shoulders are shot. Then you got to get on a paddleboard and do it again without using your feet, basically.
I wonder what the training is for that. Like, how do you train for that, right? Like, do you...
Some of it is just sheer strength and cardio, right?
Yeah.
But some of it is technique. They do work on technique for different events because you just never know what you're going to get. So, on these muscle-ups, right? So, do you know what a muscle-up is?
I don't know what pull-ups are.
Yeah, muscle-up is basically the same thing, except you got to get your whole body up over the bar, right? So you're hanging, and you pull yourself up such that the bar ends up.
Okay.
You got to lock out your arms above the bar.
Right, gotcha.
Well, that's on a bar. They do it on rings, like the gymnasts.
Right.
Which,
yeah,
that's all wobbly and stuff.
Yeah.
It's incredible. They had one event. They had a weightlifting type event, right? They're doing some kind of lift. I don't even know what it is. Clean, jerk, snatch. I don't know. I don't know the names of them. I couldn't tell you. But the women started off at 215 pounds. They had to get this thing up over their head. And then there's 10 of them. They all go at 215. If you make it, you go to 220, and so on. They ended up going all the way up to 265. Got down to 2. One of them didn't do it.
Right.
The other one did. The men got up to 390. I mean, it's just insane.
That's crazy, man.
And here's the best part on that particular event. If 2 people get knocked out at the same weight, guess how they tie break it? You got to go over here and do 5 reps as fast as you can of 195 pounds for the women. It's like, what? I couldn't do 1. I mean, it is insane.
How long are the CrossFit Games? Is it like a whole week or just a
4
weekend?
days.
Oh, 4 days.
4 days. Started on Thursday, finished today. But yeah, just incredible. If you get a chance,
I wonder what the recovery time is for those people.
I bet you it's nothing, because they train all year long. There's no. This is their Super Bowl for sure. They peak to this, but they train all year long because they have to qualify.
Right.
So if you get a chance, go on YouTube and look up CrossFit Games 2019 and just pick a day, pick an event, and watch it. And it is absolutely insane. Like I said, they started off with 144 men, 131 women. After the first event, they cut down to 75. After the second event, they cut down to 50. Then 40, then 30, then 20, and then 10. And then those 10 went the rest of the way. So you can imagine the pressure building, right? You have a bad event, you're screwed.
That's it.
You're screwed. You're absolutely screwed. They had one event where it was run half a football field and then come back and run around like 5 cones.
A football field?
Yeah,
Jeez.
and it's you see them go and it's a dead sprint. I mean, and they are fast. And these are obviously they're not small people. They've got muscles.
Right.
They've got muscles on top of muscles. Their fucking ears have muscles. It's crazy, right? So you got this one guy Matt Frazier, the guy that won, 5'9", 195 pounds.
Holy shit!
But he is all muscle. He's got no shirt on. He's ripped. I mean, these guys are incredible. It's incredible what they do. I'm telling you, if you get a chance, go on YouTube and look up CrossFit Games 2019. Again, hats off to Matt Frazier and Tia Claire Toomey for winning again this year. A lot of fun to watch. Episode 86 in the books of the Positive Sports Podcast. Famous number 86? The only one, I'm sure there's more, but the latest one, I think it's the latest one. That guy.
Who?
Hines Ward.
Hines Ward.
Who did you think?
Hines Ward. Yeah, I can't think of another one.
I can't think of another 86 either.
I'm sure there's a tight end out there somewhere that wore 86.
Did one of the Sharp guys wear 86, Sterling, or...
I think they were 84 and 88. I think. I don't know.
Shannon Sharp, Sterling Sharp, one of them 86. I don't know. It's tough, man.
Yeah, 86. I can't think of one. Hockey is probably 86. No?
No, I can't think of one. I can think of an 87 for next week.
I can think of an 88 for 2 weeks from now.
Alrighty, folks. As always, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it. Episode 86 in the books. As always, folks, ignore the negativity. Be the positivity.
Peace.